my mind is made up.
Hey guys, this is Eric Kyle, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine.
And I'm David Levesque, editor of Latitudes and Attitudes, and welcome to Three Sheets, our podcast where we chill and chat with individuals making a difference in the cruising lifestyle.
Each episode, we'll dive into all things cruising related and bring you some of the most influential characters out there. So sit back, grab your favorite bottle, light them if you got them, and enjoy the adventure. Hey guys, Eric Kyle here, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine, and I'm excited to be joined today by David Levesque, and we are producing Three Sheets, our podcast. It's going to talk to some of the most influential cruisers that are out there in the world, living the lifestyle that we all want to aspire to. Today, we're joined with Paul and Rebecca, and they are from Mystic Hearts, SV Mystic Hearts. Paul and Rebecca, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
We're doing great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Our pleasure. So, David, we've got some new victims. What do you want to do with these guys?
Well, I think we need to rake them over the coals and, put them through the motions and, I don't know, hopefully leave them in a better place than when they found us.
I'll tell you what, the beatings will continue until morale improves.
All right, let's get into it.
So, Paul and Rebecca, what's the dealio? I see on your Facebook page, 2020, you sold everything except for the cats, bought a boat, and started having at it. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know, 2020, right? I mean, we all remember that. The world shut down and just thought it was a good time to do something new. All the work went remote. Just housing market just popped off. So it just seemed like everything kind of came together at the right time.
We've been talking about living on a boat for years. We've owned sailboats since 2012. So we're not new to cruising or not new to sailing, I should say. But we really started dreaming about living aboard in 2018. We chartered on a sailboat in the British Virgin Islands, kind of got a taste for a week of what it might look like to live aboard. So we actually dreamed about it for 2 full years before we pulled the plug and said, okay, we're finally doing it this time. We're listing the house and we're going to buy a boat that we can actually go cruising on. So we've been on it for almost 4 years now.
Man, if you want to catch the bug and pretty much change the entire course of your life, you might as well go on a charter and a BVI's, right, Eric?
I agree.
Yep.
It's like the Mecca, you know what I mean? You can go cruising in any body of water, but until you've cruised the BVI, gone up and down that Sir Francis Drake Channel, gone out to Anegada, visited Foxy, of course, and done all that fun stuff. It's like the next step is now it's time to live aboard. Now it's time to experience the lifestyle in more of a permanent space. And, my wife and I aspire to do the exact same things. We just have not had the courage to do it yet. And same deal, 2020, I think that there were a lot of people who was like, let's go to sea. This world is crazy. Everybody's wearing plastic and masks, and let's just go out and find out if you aspire to do that live aboard lifestyle. Let's find out what it's like. And I'm really curious because we didn't have the courage to do it. We have 3 daughters, and one of them was in Catholic school. The nuns wouldn't let her stay at home, so she had to go to school. But what was it like? What was that decision like for you guys to finally pull the trigger after a couple of years of thinking about it?
I would describe it as agonizing. So we had a house. It was on a canal. We had a Pearson 33 in our backyard. We just finished renovating the whole thing, top to bottom. So yeah, we were going to give up a lot by making that move. So like Rebecca said, we thought about, we were thinking about it for 2 years, and we didn't really want to give up what we had. So we we waffled back and forth. And I think, just that it was COVID really that pushed us over the tipping point there to just dive in.
And you got a 47 Jeanneau, is that correct?
Beneteau.
Beneteau? Okay. I'm sorry, David, go ahead.
That's okay. There's a lot of people I've talked to over the years, over the last 4 years, that have said pretty much the same thing you did about COVID being, inspiring them to do this. And I can remember, back to March of 2020, you know what I mean? And what happened with the world. And, my son had he was 6 months into his freshman year of high school, and all of a sudden the high school experience was different for him, right? And it's like so many people that I met talked about the negativity of COVID, and you still hear people talking about the negativity of COVID. The boating industry, it really we experienced a resurgence. I mean, nobody socially distances like boaters do.
Yeah.
So we literally saw boat sales go up through the roof. We saw, used boats coming off the scrap heaps. I mean, people were finding boats that were sitting on the hard for years, neglected, picking them up, learning how to sail and getting out there and doing it. So, I mean, COVID really was a positive for a lot of things when you look at it that way.
And when we think about social distancing, like there's no better way to social distance on a sailboat traveling up and down the East Coast. We were able to go into anchorages where there weren't a ton of people and just really kind of just enjoy nature and be out by ourselves. So, yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and if you don't like your neighbors, you just move, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You say the resurgence in the boating community, because we've met a ton of people, through social media and things, and then met them in real life along the way too. And a lot of them all started 2020, 2019, like same time that we did, same circumstances. So there's like a whole generation of cruisers out there that were born from that.
So you guys are Mystic Hearts. Your boat is Mystic Hearts. Are you from Mystic, Connecticut? Is that the deal?
No relation to.
Yes, this is not a great story. It just happened to be the name of the boat when we bought it, and we didn't hate it, so we kept it.
Well, I love it. Where are you guys from? Where are you guys from originally?
So we met in Raleigh, North Carolina, when we were students at North Carolina State University. So we've been in the Virginia area for the past 12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years. So Virginia is home to us, life on the Chesapeake Bay. So Norfolk is our home base when we're not out cruising.
So I'm curious, guys, tell us about the adventure. 4 years out. I see that you guys travel the East Coast primarily. The majority of your cruising's been up and down the East Coast. I think you've made a couple ventures north and south. Tell us about what was the plan outside of go out to the ocean and take a right?
Yeah. I don't know. I would say to start with, we didn't have much of a plan. I mean, we talked about just living aboard in the Chesapeake.
Yeah.
And just bouncing around in the Chesapeake. And then, I don't know, we didn't even make it 6 months before we were out of the Chesapeake. Yeah, there wasn't really much of a plan. It was just, hey, it's getting hot here. Let's go north in the summer. And then, we lived aboard in the first winter. And then after that said, oh, we don't want to do that again. So the next winter we went south. I've got some restrictions with work where I can't leave the country. So that's kind of why we've been mostly confined to the East Coast. But there's so much to see on the East Coast that I don't think we're going to run out of cruising grounds anytime soon.
Yeah, so we've
I'm sorry, I can't leave the country either, but there's different reasons for that.
I'm on his ankle. I don't know what it is, but it's a bulgy ankle.
Yeah,
Flashing light.
over the past 4 years, we've gone to New England for 2 summers, and we've been to the Florida Keys over 2 winters. And then we've spent quite a bit of time in the Chesapeake Bay. So it's hard to believe we've racked up almost 8,500 miles in the past 4 years. But
that's awesome. So Paul, you said work restrictions. I mean, on your website, it says sold your home, donated most of your belongings, living the dream boat or sailboat. It doesn't say anything about retiring. So you're still working aboard the boat or what? Yeah, that's cool. How's that been for you? A lot of people talk about working remote now. Everybody does that. I mean, is Starlink working for you? Are you using something else?
Yeah, we use Starlink primarily. And so before Starlink, we since we're on the East Coast, we were able to operate just off of cell phone hotspots for the most part. And then Starlink was a game changer though, because that like really upped the speeds. And for a while it was wild west. It was unrestricted, so we could offshore and in motion and everything without paying any extra. So that was great.
that was short-lived.
That was short-lived, but yeah. No, it works. I still, and then we just have to deal as we go forward. I've got to go into the office more and more. So, we've got to work around that. So that involves either staying home at certain times or having to fly to work things from wherever we're cruising. So it's getting, those are the new challenges we have to work around as COVID gets further behind us.
Well, one question that I'm curious about is, as somebody who aspires to follow the lifestyle that you guys are living, is what are the costs to be able to do this? Because I know a lot of people, leave their jobs as well and try to work remotely, either doing some affiliate marketing or trying to work part-time remotely from the boat kind of thing. So I had heard, and maybe this is true, maybe it's not, but somebody had told me if you're going to be in the U.S. waters, it's probably going to cost you about 50 grand a year to be able to provision the boat, anchor the boat, dock the boat, repairs, things like that. I mean, is that way too conservative? Should you budget for more than that, less than that? What's your guys' experience without going into too much personal detail? I'm curious for somebody who's aspiring to do that, what they should consider.
I would say that that's a pretty good number, actually. So ours is probably a little bit higher than that, actually. But we
eat out a lot, though.
we like to support the local economy to the places we go, so that doesn't help. But we also, because we do have the in office work sometimes, and we've got family, we maintain a slip year round.
We have a car still.
Yeah, so we have some of those expenses so if you didn't keep your slip year round when you go cruising, and you could get rid of the cars, those expenses would come down a little bit. But yeah, the $50,000, that's definitely probably pretty close to the mark.
Yeah, we thought it would actually be a lot cheaper living on a boat than in our house, but that's not really true. I mean, it can be for people, but not for us.
Yeah, hasn't worked out so far.
Well, maybe if you cut down the eating out, it could help.
That would definitely help. That would definitely help.
Well, what year is the sailboat? Because I know that, the challenges of I had a 411 Beneteau myself, and there's always something that I have to fix. It's like, I want to go out and enjoy the boat, but I need to spend this amount of time fixing this, that, or the other, or buying parts, or replacing this, or fixing that in order to go out and enjoy it, with everything being tip top. So what year is the boat, and what's it been like trying to maintain it?
It's a 2005 Beneteau 473. When we bought it, it actually had almost everything already on it that we needed. But Paul has done some improvements over the past few years.
Yeah. Well, and then, like you said, it's never ending, right? So we bought it and it was cruise ready. Like it had a brand new dinghy, brand new sails. It just had a bunch of engine work done. So it was good to go, but the electronics were original. So that was the first thing that we ended up getting to. And then, as time goes on, the upholstery is starting to go because we have cats. It's been a liveaboard boat for 20 years now. So some of the interior, the cabin soles getting rough, like that stuff, it just keeps coming around. We're about to go into the yard in 2 weeks. We're going to replace some through hulls. The running rigging is coming up due now. Anchor chains coming up. It's just every year there's something new. Our canvas was in pretty good shape when we bought it, but 4 years later it's starting to show its age. So we're going to try to squeeze another season or two out of it, but it never ends.
And we just did a lithium battery installation, and that is not cheap either.
Yes.
We're all starting to show our age, kind of, and we could all use a little bit of fine tuning every now and then. But
That's right.
we just did a podcast recording a week ago with Andrew from Sailing Aphrodite, and he talked about having a guy. Like, I got a guy for electronics, I got a guy for this, I got a guy for that. Paul, do you got a guy or guys, or are you the guy?
I'm the guy.
Paul's an engineer by trade, so he's able to, if he can't fix it, he can figure it out and do it himself.
Okay. All right. So based on what I just said and what you just answered, you are now going to become the guy for anybody in the Chesapeake. Paul's your guy. There you go.
Well, I'm curious because I just learned the difference between a screwdriver and a hammer not too long ago. So what kind of experience am I going to have when I go out there to do liveaboard cruising? Do I have to constantly be fixing something while I'm living aboard the boat, or is it a position where I can go find a guy to do it when I'm in port?
You're going to need a guy.
I think we mostly could, if we wanted to, we could wait till we were in port and find a We've been lucky that we haven't had too many major breakdowns while we're on the move. The ones we've had, we've been able to work around fairly easily. So
Yeah. And you don't have to be super handy to live on a boat, right? Like you don't have to go into it and say, oh, I've never done electrical, or I've never done plumbing, I can't live on a boat. Like everything can be learned, right? So I wouldn't let that stop you from living this life south. That's what you want to do. But
I should
I say that because I am married to an engineer and I'm not doing most of the work myself. So yeah.
I should probably expand this a little bit, because here we are saying I got a guy, we got a guy, they got a guy. That's just a phrase. Let's just say we got a guy or gal. Let's put it that way, because there's plenty of women I know that are sailors, that are badass sailors that could fix just about anything on a boat. So for those of you listening out there, grab a guy or gal to help fix your boat. I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
Hey guys, one other thing that I'm really curious about in your adventures up and down the East Coast, going all the way from the Northeast down to Key West, what's the scariest thing you run across? What's the one thing that made you say, wait a minute, let me scratch my head and consider, do we really want to do this? And whether it's a scary thing or just a reflection on something, what's been the position that you guys have been in that have been most concerning about your liveaboard experience?
betting we have the same one. You go first.
I don't know. My thing is not really, so we're pretty good at planning in advance for weather and other things. But the thing that worries me the most, honestly, is other cruisers. People who are anchored, who don't know what they're doing. Just people who may put you in an unsafe position because, they just don't know how to operate their vessel safely. So I'm not really too worried about us, just the people potentially around us.
But you have a specific moment.
I mean, there's been a few times we've been anchored where you just see people dragging around you and you're watching and you're like, are they coming towards me? Are they going to miss me? Just things like that. It's happened in Annapolis. It's happened in Newport. We've seen it all over.
Okay, so I do have a different answer. My answer was going to be leaving the St. Augustine Inlet in opposing wind and tide.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I was questioning, why are we doing, what am I doing with my life at that moment?
Yeah, the cats were inside the boat. They came up to the top stairs. They were banging on the door, screaming to be let out. And we were all in the cockpit together, just bouncing through some waves. We're like, this isn't fun. Yeah. We're not enjoying this moment, but that was scary.
Well, let's talk about the fur babies. It's Mac and Joseph, right?
Yeah.
Mac and Joseph. So are they boat cats? Are they adapted pretty well to the cruising lifestyle?
Yeah, we've had them for 14 years. So they've lived through an apartment, a house, and now the boat. I would say they're happiest on the boat just because they get to be outside and smell all the things. But yeah, I think they've adapted pretty well. I mean, they're not.
They're old salties, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, they hear the engine turn on and they want to come outside and go ahead and find their favorite spot to sit. So they're pretty used to it.
Paul, you talk about, well, actually, both of you guys talk a little bit about just the, being a little bit concerned about people around you. I mean, that happens pretty much. It doesn't matter if you're cruising or if you're, just a day boat or anything like that. It's, it's one of those things where you're going to run into people that maybe are not paying attention or don't have the kind of background you do. The one thing that we always talk about with Latitudes and Attitudes and this podcast is just, I mean, the cruising community is pretty amazing. You know what I mean? And people tend to help each other. People tend to, there's a lot of people that are out there trying to live the dream and they're learning as they go along, kind of thing. So yeah, that's totally something you got to be aware of. But we found that, I mean, there's always cruisers that are willing to lend a hand and and jump overboard and help you out and this, that, and the other thing. But yeah, and you guys have got a great background, so you can be those people to the younger cruisers that are popping around, maybe screwing a few things up. I've been known to screw a few things up when I'm on a boat from time to time.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah, we've all been there, done that.
That 473 is a heck of a boat. I think that it's going to handle pretty much anything that you want it to, and it's going to handle much more than you're going to be okay with. So I think you've got a heck of a vessel there. So what kind of time frame has it taken you guys to go north to south, south to north? I mean, you've been out there cruising for 4 years. Do you generally go down to the winter? You're down there for 4 months, take a couple weeks to come back? Does it take a month to come back? What's the timing like for your travels up and down the East Coast?
Hey, when we go south, it generally takes about a month to get down to the Keys, but we take our time. We're never in a big rush. So, we've got family along the way, like in the Myrtle Beach area, so we'll stop for a couple days. We get down to St. Augustine. We love St. Augustine. We'll hang out there for a week. West Palm, we'll hang out. We've got friends there too. So we're never in a big rush. So yeah, a month or so, and then going north is easier. I mean, we just hop out of the bay in 2 days. We're cruising through New York City. So that's nice, because then we have the whole time that we've got available is just cruising in our anchorages. We're not really spending any time getting there.
We spend about 2 months in New England generally, depending with his schedule. And that's enough time for us to kind of get like out towards Nantucket and hopefully see some new spots along the way.
I see that you've been to, you have a couple posts on Rhode Island. Have you been up to Maine yet?
No,
We've not been up to Maine. We haven't had the time yet.
it is on the list. I want to go so bad. I
I
know.
We have this magazine called Latitudes and Attitudes.
I look
And
at
the
it.
latest issue, summer 2024, has tips on cruising the Maine coast.
I'm gonna have to read that as soon as we get off the Zoom.
You know what? Tom Perkins wrote it, and he and his wife cruise up and down the Maine coast, and he has his own blog. I've never seen a more in-depth dive, for lack of a better term, into all the different hidden gems of a particular section of the Maine coast, but also just some tips on getting in and out of, certain anchorages and stuff like that. Really a great read. And I'm not just plugging it because I helped pick the article. But anyways, I digress.
So that's exciting. Yeah, we definitely want to get there at some point. Yeah, I just haven't made it yet.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll make it this summer. Just like I said, we're going into the yard soon, so
Yeah.
we're
So
losing.
you guys are
time.
in Richmond right now?
And we're in Norfolk.
You're in Norfolk right now. So you're going to spend what, July, August up there, or the boat's going on the hard and then you guys are doing
No,
what?
so we're gonna go on the hard, and we're gonna do some work.
While
Yeah.
looking on the hard. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're gonna be on the boat doing the work, hopefully in and out quickly, but you know how those things go. And then hopefully by mid-July we can
Yeah.
get out of here. But we do have time restrictions again, so yeah, we need to be back early September. So probably not enough time for Maine this year, unfortunately, but it's definitely on our bucket list, and it's doable since it's in the States.
And
So we'll get there.
Yeah. And ideally we'll be out of the Chesapeake Bay for hurricane season. That's always the goal. So
Good. Well, whenever you get up to Maine, I hear the lobster's fantastic. So there you go. So you guys are doing, Paul, you're still working. You're working from the boat. Okay. Rebecca, are you still working?
yes, I am a small business owner. I work part-time from the boat. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I noticed that, I mean, look, a lot of cruisers out there are doing, I mean, they have their socials, the YouTube channels, the videos. A lot of them are working on ways to monetize using affiliate marketing, all that kind of routine. I know you've messed around with our affiliate program that we have. Looks like you have a lot of products and resources on your website, products you use, apparel, stuff like that. Have you found any kind of progress in any of that? Or are you aspiring?
It's really, I would love to. I think it's been kind of a tough egg to crack, affiliate marketing. We have I think 9,200 followers right now on Instagram, which is great. But we're not quitting our day jobs to do affiliate marketing. So it's kind of just like a side thing for sure.
I see that one of the products on your website that you listed is a pizza wheel.
Everybody needs a good pizza cutter.
I love it. But you eat out all the time. So what?
Every product that we have listed on there is something that we personally use and can attest to. So if you are in the market for pizza wheel,
you got corn holders, set of 8. You got a cookie scoop. I love it. It's all there.
I do love to cook on board.
Outfit your galley. Visit their website, kids. You can learn how to outfit your galley.
svmysticarts.com. There you go.
So we hope that our magazine, Latitudes and Attitudes, helps to inspire people to go cruising and basically just cast off the lines. Just go. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen out there, and make the most of it and see what see what that adventure is going to bring. Some people like myself feel a calling to go to the sea. And I know that it sounds really romantic and it sounds kind of corny, but it's a very true thing. People do have a calling to go sailing, to go cruising, to live on the ocean. What would be your advice, guys, to people as you guys are doing it now? What would be your advice to people who aspire to go cruising, but just haven't been able to pull the trigger?
Um, my first thought is don't wait 2 years to do it. You know, we got a storage unit and said, well, if we end up not liking it, we can always pull all of our furniture back out, and get another house or whatever. But I kind of wish we had just ditched all of our stuff sooner. We spent way too much in storage unit fees over the years, and I don't think we're quitting this lifestyle anytime soon. So I just wish we had done it sooner, or even 10 years ago when we were in our 20s. I think of all the places we could have seen. But we've had great adventures in 4 years. So
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best. And I know it's a kind of cliche at this point, but it's just do it,
Mhm.
right? Like, no, timing will never get better. It's never, there's never it never gets better. Just go when you can, right? But at the same time, you do need to be somewhat realistic, right? Like, we've seen people who have gotten the boat, maybe that's all they could afford, or what their budget allowed at the moment, and it was more like camping, not like living, and they didn't last.
Yeah.
Right. So there is a bit of realism that you need to know yourself, right? Because that what you need to live is going to be different for every person, right? Some people can just camp and have a boat that doesn't have refrigeration, or doesn't have a shower, doesn't have, as the bare minimum for a head. Some people can't live like that, and you need to know that about yourself before you go. And then at that point, it's finding those what you need versus what your budget will allow, and find where those intersect, and then just get going.
And
So
my other thought too is
I'm sorry, Rebecca. So Paul, just to expand on that real quick, you talk about knowing yourself. Would you say that there's also a certain level where you find out things about yourself
That
when
is
you
true.
get out there, do that?
I think that's true. I would say there are things about our, even about our boat that were, when we bought the boat, we're like, oh, this is a must have, that now looking back, maybe not so important. So there is definitely going to be some level of that where you may think you need more than you actually do. Maybe you can go a couple feet smaller. So it's a hard problem. It's a hard problem, but you gotta, if you get it wrong though, you'll wash out and you'll quit.
yeah. I think a lot of people go into this cruising lifestyle thinking it has to be all or nothing. Like I have to sell my house, I have to give up everything, and then I have to take off for the Caribbean, and then go from there. And I think we've proven over 4 years that yes, you can sell the house, or get rid of the apartment or whatever, but you don't have to go cruising full time forever, right? So we live about half the year at the dock in Norfolk, and then the other half of the year we go cruising. We found kind of a middle ground that works for us. We have a home base where we're able to, see family, go into an office when we need to, and then we can take off on the next adventure. So I think we kind of have the best of everything, being tied to land and then being tied to the sea. So
Paul and Rebecca, I'm curious, where does this end? When do you say, you know what, I got to get out, I got to sell the boat, I got to get back on land? Is it, when you're wheelchair bound? Is it physically you can't? Is it mentally, emotionally, financially? Where does this end for you guys?
I don't see an end, honestly. I think that we love it so much. And we always joke about there will never be a next boat, but maybe one day there'll be another boat. And I don't know.
Yeah, I think what we've said to each other is we'll stop doing it when it's not fun.
Yeah.
When the overall thing is not fun anymore, then we'll walk away. But yeah, there's no set plan. Right now it feels like it'll be when the wheelchair comes out. Right, that's what it feels like now. But you never know. You never know what happens. But
yeah. And it is harder than land life for sure. But I think the trade-offs are definitely worth it.
I'm
Well,
sorry, you said what again, Rebecca, that it's harder than a normal life?
It is. It's definitely harder than land life. Simple tasks like grocery shopping or getting fuel for the boat. Everything is definitely harder, but the trade-offs are absolutely worth it.
You know, we've had some articles in this little magazine we run called Latitudes and Attitudes about, there's a section called Inspirations and Transformations, and we've had people in there before that have been wheelchair bound that really want this lifestyle, and they figure out a way to do it, figure out a way to make it work. And you know, just hearing you talk about this, I mean, we talk about inspiring the cruising lifestyle, but it really is two separate lifestyles. There's a cruising lifestyle and a liveaboard lifestyle. And I mean, you can live aboard your boat and just hang out. I mean, there's people I know that live on a boat, but they don't actually cast off and go too far. They just sort of hang out in one particular region, like the Chesapeake Bay, for example. You know, and then there's the cruising lifestyle, which is, you know, there are people that have a home base, but then they get on a boat someplace and they just cruise around for a couple of weeks and they go back to the home base. And then there's both. There's living aboard and there's cruising. So you can choose whichever part of the lifestyle you feel is going to work best for you, you know? So I'm really curious though. Erik says, where's it end? I'm curious. I know, Paul, because of the work, you're kind of limited to, you know, what you said about leaving the country and this and that. When can you go further? When can you go further than the East Coast of the US? When are you allowed to do that?
We talk about that all the time,
Yeah.
trying to figure and scheme.
Yeah, so we're so short term, we're hoping to you know, save up some vacation time and at least get over to the Bahamas, you know, for like a month. So that you know, that's a short term thing. Longer term, you know, who knows, 15 more years, right? Or so. So that, yeah, that's a harder question. And you know, you never know what happens. Career changes happen, and
Yeah.
so that could free me up earlier. But yeah, in the near term, we're hoping to start getting short times where I can, you know, put the laptop away and just get away for like a month or so.
The dream though is to circumnavigate the Caribbean and hopefully head up to Nova Scotia. Just see more of this beautiful coastline for sure.
On your way up to Nova Scotia, you might go through Maine. And I just want to point out that, anyways, just, I'm done.
Well, one other question that I had for you guys while I've got you here is kids. You guys are, you know, certainly we have kids, so I think our end time is when our kids start having babies, and we got to figure out where we're going to plan ourselves to go see the grandbabies. It's going to be really hard to be cruising the Caribbean and trying to make it back in time to babysit the grandbabies, right? So I think that's probably going to be a restriction for us at some point. Any kids in the future on your guys' side?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't mean to put you guys on the spot or anything, but I don't know if you have kids or not, or what the kid situation is.
No children and none on the horizon.
Got it.
Just more fur babies.
You can definitely do boat schooling and all the things. So I wouldn't let having small kids, you know, stop me from cruising if that's really what you want to do.
Yeah. Grandkids might be a harder problem to solve.
Yeah.
We've interviewed a few people on our podcast that are, you know, doing homeschooling and, you know, liveaboards with their kids. And in fact, one of them just recently had, I think it was it might be our mermaid monster friends, just had a new addition to their family recently, I saw. So, you know, I mean, it's always interesting to us just to interview different, you know, different people with different aspirations, different restrictions, different whatever the case might be. But again, it comes back to the community of the cruising lifestyle. And as we expanded on this podcast, the liveaboard lifestyle, right? Which is what hey, listen, I'm totally envious of you right now because I've got 4 acres of land. About 2.5 of it is mowable. You don't have to mow a lawn. That is amazing to me.
That's it.
I got to get there.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I really want to take a moment to thank you for spending some time with us this morning. We greatly appreciate it. Your story is by far one of the most inspiring stories that my wife and I can understand and know that this is not only possible, but it's doable, it's affordable, and it's a lifestyle that you know, there is really no end in sight. It's a lifestyle to go enjoy and just Have fun, relax. Do you guys find it a lot more relaxing than land life? I mean, I know for myself, I'm so busy. I've always got A to Z to go through and the whole alphabet. And I just imagine that living aboard a boat would offer some comfort and relaxation and a sense of ease and comfort.
Yeah, it always feels good to, I leave the office on the sad days where I have to go in, and I get back to the boat is always nice. And then, that first time the anchor drops when we've been at the dock for a couple months, is glorious for sure.
Awesome.
That's pretty awesome. Are you guys planning to go to any of the boat shows this fall? We're gonna see you in Annapolis, see you in
Yeah,
Newport.
you'll see us in Annapolis for sure.
Mhm.
I
We
was
try
excited.
not to
Make-
miss any of the fall shows.
Make sure we actually meet each other face to face this time.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll
make
come
that
find you.
happen.
You can come by the Lats and Nats booth. And
We will be
you
there.
can subscribe to this magazine as well, both in print and online if you go to latsats.com. Just
There's our
throwing that
plug.
out there.
There's our plug.
That's my sales pitch. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Greatly appreciate it. Let's make sure to stay in touch. Please come by and see us in Annapolis. And
Yeah,
we
we'll do.
want to make sure that we're catching up with you guys on a regular basis to see how the journey continues to evolve for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're grateful for this opportunity.
Yep, thank you.
All right, guys.
Have a good day. Bye.
My mind is made up. I'm gonna sail away. Latitudes and attitudes will help me find my way with my loving cup. A little salt and a